But I do want to ask you a really important question, if you are okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you ready to go down into Granny's basement?
I am ready. I am.
Because I
But
have
we
a
have to
little
like
story.
tiptoe. We have to like be quiet, and sneak down there so nobody notices.
I don't think any of us were very sneaky or tiptoey.
No, not at all. I think we're just all over the place.
We are. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's what makes us lovable and
Right?
special.
Yeah. Special, yes.
I well, I do want to share a story, and this is something you'll recognize some of the characters in this for sure, but
Okay.
I will take it away if you don't mind. And I'm
No.
just going to read it because as usual, neither one of us is memorizing things.
No.
So,
I
it's
have
on my computer. So,
I
I'm
don't have
looking
room.
down here, not up here. I know.
Yeah.
Please forgive us, everybody. We're
It's all
still
right.
new. We're finding our
Yes, we are
rhythm.
new.
Well, we don't know how new because we don't know when this episode will air, right?
Yeah, that could
This could
be.
be,
I mean,
in 2 years from when we started. We don't
it
know.
could be.
We're going to spread it out.
Totally spread it out as thin as possible.
All right. So I want to talk to you about, and I did talk about like kind of a creepy house in another episode, and this is
Mhm.
not that house,
Yeah.
but weirdly enough, this particular story does involve a house and some issues in a house. So the information I got, and I'll source it in the show notes, but the information I got was that this house was either built by or owned by Madonna, and Madonna ended up. I'm not sure if she sold this house to this next person, but it was. I think it was built in 1997, and it was sold to Britney Spears.
Oh.
And so it's in LA, like the Hollywood Hills or
Mhm.
somewhere. So in 2001, and the Madonna thing, I'm not 100% sure if that's correct, but that's what I read, is that the house was built by Madonna. And in 2001, at 19 years old, Britney Spears purchased the home on the Sunset Strip, which she shared with Justin Timberlake. After an intense party weekend, Britney needed to relax, so she recruited a friend of a makeup artist, Julia Kay, to come to the house and do a Reiki healing session for her. Spears was convinced that the session opened a portal that allowed evil spirits to enter. She claimed that there were two spirits, a man and woman, who tried to harm her and push her down the stairs. Britney Spears began to say that to stay at the Casa Del Mar Hotel, and she put her house on the market. So weird things were happening to Britney Spears. She was saying that there was a spirit of a man and woman that were like trying to harm her. So she got spooked and decided she didn't want to stay there and moved into a hotel. you know,
Yeah.
it's already creepy. Like if you feel like you're being watched or shoved down the stairs by. And I'm thinking, was she partying a lot at that time? I don't know, but
Was she
but
pushed
yeah,
or did she fall? you
did
know?
she just trip over her big clunky shoes in the
Yes.
90s? I don't know.
Was she walking in the
But
dark?
however,
Yeah.
she put the house on the market, and a couple years later, somebody else bought it. Do you know who that was? Who bought that house? Does this
I
ring a bell to you at all?
no.
Hey, so in 2003, Brittany Murphy bought the house. Do you remember
Oh,
who Brittany Murphy was?
yeah.
So she was the actress in Clueless, one of the actresses in Clueless. She was in, what was that movie with, I want to say, uh,
She did
Michael Douglas, where she is nonverbal. She's like traumatized and nonverbal. I can't remember that movie. It was a really good movie.
she did a movie with Dakota Fanning too where she was like a housekeeper or not a housekeeper, a nanny?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
What was that movie
Oh,
called? Do you remember it?
I
Dakota
can't.
Fanning was really young.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
It'll
was?
come to us.
Yes, I know.
We'll stick it in the show notes. But anyways, in 2003, Brittany Murphy bought this fully furnished home from Britney Spears and moved into it with her husband Simon Monjack
Mm.
and her mother Sharon Murphy. According to Monjack, Brittany Murphy hated the house. She said it felt unlucky and would ask to stay in a Beverly Hills hotel. However, so the same thing as Britney Spears, just didn't feel good about the
Yeah.
house, didn't want to stay there, felt creeped out by it for whatever reason. According to Monjack, Britney, yeah, she said it was unlucky. However, Murphy did feel a special attachment to the main bathroom. It's a weird thing to be attached to, but okay.
Yes.
Monjack said that the bathroom was her comfort zone in the home, and she spent hours in there reading magazines, singing to herself, writing poetry, sampling her beauty products, and looking at herself in the mirror. In 2009, okay, so that's 2003. Fast forward 2009, Murphy is found unresponsive in the bathroom by her mother and was taken to hospital where she died. Her cause of death was reportedly untreated pneumonia combined with anemia and drug intoxication from painkillers and cold medication. So I had read in another place that when they did, so there was December 20th, so right before Christmas, and she had been struggling with pneumonia, and she was also very frail already. She was anemic. She
Mhm.
was, a young Hollywood, so probably not super healthy. When they did the autopsy, at first her husband was against doing an autopsy, did not want that to happen, and which kind of cast some suspicion, right? And so they did the autopsy and said that she had died from untreated pneumonia. And the drugs that were in her system were not illicit drugs. They were just a body full of like NyQuil and things that you would take to try to remedy your pneumonia. But it was just too much, and her heart gave out, and she died because of that. Uh, Simon's mother, Linda Mojack, later claimed that near the end of um oh sorry back up a minute. So okay, so there was suspicion that maybe her husband had something to do with it. He kind of had a bad reputation from past relationships, and people had said that he was quite controlling over Brittany Murphy, and so they wondered if he had something to do with it. However, just 5 months later, he was found dead on the property, and his cause of death was also reported as pneumonia and anemia. So this like very, if you look at the picture, she's this like little frail person, and you
Mhm.
could probably imagine or guess that if she was taking a lot of even over the counter drugs and had no immune system to fight it off, being an already small and pretty frail person, that could do her heart in. But this guy was
Yeah.
like a big
He
guy.
was a
He
big
was like
guy.
a he was not frail or anything, and to just have and just up and die on the property 5 months later of pneumonia and anemia
Mhm.
feels
A little
really
strange.
like strange.
Yeah.
His mother, Linda Mojack, later claimed that near the end of his life, he was having hallucinations, and he was saying, excuse me, there were things crawling out of his skin. In the 11 years following the couple's death, the property has been listed 10 times.
Mm.
And there is a documentary about Brittany Murphy. I have not watched it, but I saw little clips of it that were saying um, the house, people did think there was hauntings or something going on there. um, they ended up leveling it to the ground,
Mhm.
including new landscaping, everything, and rebuilding this house from the ground up.
Oh yeah.
But some of the theories that people have put out there um, are that it's like a reverse haunting. Many followers of the case speculate that malevolent spirits who visited Spears were actually the spirits of Murphy and Mojack haunting their home from their future deaths. So, wait,
Oh,
I have to wrap my head around that. So, Britney Spears is being haunted by Brittany Murphy and her husband's spirits, but they died after Britney moved out of the house, Britney Spears. So they're like
that's
time traveling
go.
spirits,
That's
future death. Yeah,
that's a
not
little
okay.
okay. That's a little far fetched. I
I could maybe get on board with like some hinky paranormal activity, but
yeah.
that seems like
That's
my
just a
brain
little
can't
bit that
stretch that
yeah.
far.
Yeah, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
a ghost and I'm gonna, travel
Go,
back here to
go back to the future
yeah.
ghostings.
That seems a little
Gosh.
crazy.
Okay. So then another one is after Murphy's death, there were rumors that her death had been staged by the other residents of the house, her husband and her mother. There were reports that Monjack had been withdrawing large sums of money from Murphy's account and that Sharon Murphy had continually asked for money during Brittany's life. These theories were not helped by Mojack and Sharon Murphy's infamous photo shoot in which they photographed themselves mourning, posing with pictures of Brittany. And the note here is like, look up these pictures because they're crazy. So we'll have to find some and
Yeah,
post them on our
put them on
account.
there.
But so this is her husband and her mother, um, allegedly withdrawing a lot of money from her account, and that it was maybe staged by that this death was staged by the
Mhm.
mother and the husband to get the money, right?
And I had,
And then
like I just had heard that, like, afterwards, there was, like, a relationship between, like, her mom and him, and that
ew,
yeah. Well, I'm
ew.
quite
Well, let's find that out.
but I'm, like, quite surprised
It
that she
is.
was with him because, like, she was beautiful and he was he definitely got the better end of the stick, right? Like
Well, that is actually quite normal in Hollywood, especially when it's like young actress, older, screenwriter, whatever he
yeah,
was. But yeah, the whole family relationship thing, if he got together with her mom, like that's creepy as hell.
yeah.
Um so there's a couple quotes from this is from Juliana Julianne K, and that was her whose makeup that's Britney Spears makeup artist, or maybe also Brittany Murphy. She said she had a place on Sunset Plaza, up on Sunset Plaza, and I'm gonna say this, that it was really weird. Had the place on Sunset Plaza. She called me. I had my friend do Reiki healing on her. He had come up. I guess she'd had a crazy partying weekend and needed to relax. He left, and she swears to God that he opened some sort of spirit portal or something, and these bad spirits had come in. So this was Britney Spears' makeup artist.
Mm,
So remember earlier in the story,
yeah.
I said when Britney Spears lived there, she had like a big party, and she just felt really off and wanted to like do some healing. Brought in this, her artist recommended this guy as a Reiki healer, which I already don't
Mhm.
understand anything about.
No.
um but that somehow this guy opened up a portal and bad spirits came in. And then it goes on to say, Brittany said, and it was like a male and female, and they're trying to like push us down the stairs or push Brittany down the stairs or something crazy like that. It was so bad that when she left, she went to Casa del Mar Hotel to stay there and never went back to the house. She goes, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. I know what I felt. And I was like, no, I believe that shit too. So it didn't really weird me out that much. But she was very persistent about it, and she put her house on the market. And so, yeah, if Britney Spears felt that strongly about it, left that house and never went back to it. Like
Mhm.
something must have been going on, because even if you're having like a bad party, like a bad trip or something, and like it doesn't go on, right?
No.
So,
But even 2 for
and
10 other
going,
people to wanna sell it, like or it to be on the
yeah,
market 10
they're
other
just not
times?
keeping it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and last I heard, and I should have looked up kind of where it's at now, but they just had plowed it to the ground and
Mhm.
started over. But then another theory is mold. After the couple's death, there was speculation that was mold in the home, which would explain hallucinations and paranoia experienced by Spears, Murphy, and Monjack. But this theory was dismissed by a medical examiner's office. However, in addition to Monjack's mother claiming that her son experienced hallucinations, she also claimed that he had found severe mold in the home. The house has since been torn down and rebuilt, so they can't say for sure. And then I found this little bit on Reddit where someone says, as someone who's been poisoned by a house full of toxic mold hidden in the walls and ceilings and floors, and legitimately thought I was going to die before I figured out what was poisoning me, that house was full of mold. Toxic mold can cause terrifying psychological symptoms: depression, anxiety, paranoia, insomnia, hallucinations, rage, etc. It can also make you lose tons or gain tons of weight, and it can make you seem like you're on drugs. It causes so many physical symptoms, and doctors don't know or understand mold toxicity yet. So they just prescribe you a bunch of pharmaceutical drugs to mask all the symptoms mold creates. And both Brittany and her husband were on so many prescriptions.
Mhm.
And it obviously causes cold, flu, respiratory symptoms, and pneumonia. It doesn't have to be growing in you to poison you. I have had zero doubt, or I have zero doubt that the house killed Britney and her husband, and likely also contributed to Britney Spears' mental breakdown. I recently watched one of the docu series, and every single thing pointed to mold. They also razed the house to the ground, and after they died, the new owners built a new house entirely. So, one of the other things is if there was any financial advantage to it not being labeled mold, because if there was black mold in the house or something, I imagine the builder or whoever sold them that house could be accountable. I don't
Mhm.
know, I'm not a lawyer. But that is just a snippet of the story of Brittany Murphy and the house that she lived in. And I remember, hearing a lot about this when because I knew who Brittany Murphy
Mhm.
was. We watched those movies,
Yeah.
but our minds immediately go to, oh, some drug induced hallucinations and she died from an overdose, right? We always just
Yeah.
think that when it comes to, but not something so treatable or understandable as toxic mold in
Mhm.
your home, and it's causing all the symptoms, and people are just assuming that you're you know high all the time,
Yeah.
or
But my question would
so.
be is
Yeah,
like
pretty interesting.
when you're buying a house, do you not get it inspected? So like if all these people are buying this house, would you not have somebody inspecting it and having like a mold test in it? Cuz I know like with us we had like we we had a like a pretty we had a guy with like an infrared camera and stuff come in and do an inspection on our house and with all these
Wow.
like other things and stuff to make sure because a house is a huge investment. You know, you don't want to be and there's stuff that can
Well,
be
and I
hiding behind the walls.
imagine, yeah, I imagine this particular house, I mean, how many millions of dollars would it have been?
Mhm.
Wouldn't have been a, and I guess it was early 2000s, right? So I don't know if the technology has advanced, I'm sure, since then, but you would think at some point in you know in the inspections of these houses they would find something.
Yeah.
But I
That
just
would just
wonder,
be
I guess that's where my conspiracy brain goes, was there
mhm.
some sort of advantage to that being covered up,
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
not being disclosed in some way.
Yeah.
So because it
Could
feels
be.
like it would be, and if it was mold and they had to knock that house to the ground and start all the way over, it
Mhm.
must have been super bad. But how
Yeah.
could they keep that covered up, right? If that's what they found out had killed Brittany Murphy and her husband, first of all, why not Brittany's mom who lived there? So did she not have any of these symptoms as well?
Mhm. And
You
you think
know,
it would probably hit
I
her
don't know.
harder. She's older, right? Like she's
Hmm.
elderly. So, you know, like you don't always have,
Hey,
you
watch
know,
it.
I
She's
don't know. This
probably my age at this time.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, my aching knees.
Yeah. I know I was going to actually do a post with all my 40 and ups. What's hurting today? Because I woke up and I'm sure I had like a
Oh no.
spinal cord injury because I was like, my
Oh
back.
no.
I can barely move. So,
That's not cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
My
now when I
knees.
bend down, my knees make some sort of sinewy noise. I don't know what that is. It feels,
Is
it's
this
not like a
even
it's not
legal?
like a joint click. It's more like a, you know, like like
We need
meat in there is stretching.
help.
What
Yeah.
is that? Why are your knees
Yeah.
making that sound?
It's not supposed to do
Like
that. I
it's
actually just watched it.
cartilage stretching.
Yeah. I actually just watched a TikTok with this girl who was like working her legs in the gym and she like pushed the thing back and brought it back and you can see her knee go and she's like, I need help. I need help.
No.
And I was like, you think you need help? Like I would be
Oh no.
screaming. But yeah, you can see like the terror on her face. It was gross. I don't like stuff like that. But I was like, oh,
Mm.
what's this video?
Whoops.
Busted knee.
Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Getting old's fun. It's
Uh,
great.